Hey everybody, welcome back to Digi Daily. I have the camera pushed back pretty far today because we're doing something very special. So let's talk about a couple things first. First of all, we found out the intricacies of this board right here, and there is some Wave 2 programming in this device, which means theoretically, yes, you can switch your version, but we don't know how to do that yet, and honestly, it's not really worth the trouble. Just wait for the Wave 2 to come out when Bandai starts selling it. We don't know exactly what jumpers to tick to make it work, but there is definitely some Wave 2 programming in here, other than the fact that there is, of course, the Alphamon egg. There is also the fact that on this device, you can actually, you can get Metal Garurumon and War Greymon from the Cordramon eggs, just like on the Wave 2. So that is super cool. I'm happy that they kept that in here because now you can get Omnimon, like vanilla Omnimon, on this device without any external devices, which I think is really cool. I want to say they did that on purpose, and if they did, that's a really smart move because, again, the whole idea of connecting this to 5 devices to begin with was pretty ridiculous. I mean, you still have to do that, but that's only to get the anime Gabumon egg. You can still get Metal Garurumon and War Greymon from the Cordramon eggs, which both are in this device. You don't need to connect it to anything else. All you need to do is just battle. You need, I think, 3+ Karamastakes at both Cordramon's ultimate levels, and then you need to do 100+ battles with each Cordramon, and then they will evolve. I've done a video on it, but I can't remember. It was a really long time ago, so I don't really remember, you know, like which episode I showed it off on. However, Digital Dream did an amazing video showing off exactly how to get them, and it's really well done. It's all in one video, super well made. So I'm gonna link to his video because he deserves some love. Go send him some love. He does some really good. He does a really good job on his videos. So, and he needs more subscribers. He's like criminally underrated right now. So. Go watch his video on it. It's very well done, and it'll explain exactly how it works. Even though he's using this device, same rules apply to this. Number 2, I believe it was Fanfare. He said, screw it, I'm not waiting for Xanadu, I'm switching the damn screens myself. So he actually switched the screens from this and to this. He switched them, and the results were actually quite surprising. So the reason why I was apprehensive of switching the screens was because I was worried that this screen was going to be crap, like this one, and this screen would be, you know, like better. Turns out when you swap the screens, for some weird reason, it makes both look better. And I'm not joking. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't have any issues with this screen. I have a ton of issues with this one. But this screen, I love it. It's really good. This screen, Jesus, I hate it. Super dark, you can barely see anything. You have to look at it in like almost direct light. I have to be pointing a flashlight at the screen almost constantly throughout the day to see what the hell's going on in it. When you swap them, however, they both look really good. This one gets a little, this screen's, it's still a little bit darker on here, but still nothing too bad. I will give you guys an update on this. So, yeah. 2 graves and a piece of poop. I think that is poetic, if you ask me. So Puppetmon died yesterday. I guess I roasted him to death. I felt pretty bad. He died yesterday. Poor boy. And Epmon actually died this morning. I don't know when, though, because he had full bars when I put him to sleep. And I checked my device at about 8 o'clock in the morning. They wake up at 7. So within that hour, he just, like, keeled over. Really sucks. I didn't pull any codes for either of them, which sucks even more. So I guess I'll be exploring online's story mode when I you know, do my next run, which is for the hatch. So why am I so far pushed back? I'm so far pushed back because we're finally going to swap the screens on these 2 devices. We're doing it. I'm doing it. So first of all, let's talk about this screen. As you can see, it is just the worst. It's horrible. It's really dark compared to this one. You can already see like how dark it is. You can see pretty much exactly what's going on in this screen. This screen, however, it's super duper dark. Just, again, the worst. really, really dark, and I don't like that. I'm not a fan of dark screens. We're sitting here with a Digimon X, so we're gonna do this. I have a confession. I've actually never taken apart any brick devices yet, but I have taken apart other LCD devices, so the rules are similar. And I've taken apart the Pendulum 20th, and this shouldn't be too hard. So we're gonna start with our buddy Mr. Screwdriver. We're gonna take out the batteries first. That is super, super important. You don't want the batteries staying in these. Now, I feel like there's less of a chance of corruption when you're taking out the batteries on this device as opposed to the Pendulum 20th, because this, these devices have better QA. Why is it not working? Okay, I'm like stripping that. Lord have mercy. Already running into issues. But yeah, these devices are less temperamental with their save data compared to the joyous Pendulum 20th, because that thing just like, you breathe on it wrong and you lose your data. That thing just had horrid QA. I really don't know what Bandai was thinking with that QA. It was real bad. So yeah, like I said, starting off, taking out the batteries. Already you can see that this has a blue board. This board is different from this board, obviously, but this board is also different from the 20th over there. This is a blue board. The speaker is actually not attached, thank God. That's a smart idea. Even though it makes the speaker a lot quieter, it seems like, it's better as far as taking it apart. So because we're taking apart two devices at the same time, I really got to be careful where I'm putting all my screws. Sometimes folks, when they're taking things apart, they'll have like a cup or even like a tray of ice cubes, and said tray of ice cubes has, it's got, they like sequentially put all the screws in it. I don't have that here. I usually remember. It's not too hard to remember. But if you're someone who's a little forgetful, you might want to do that. So we're going to start off with these 4 screws. That's pretty obvious on both of these devices. Now taking this one apart is going to be easy. We can just separate the two halves. This one we have to be very careful because the speaker is attached to the back of the brick, on this side. But the board is going to be on this side. So when you separate, you got to be really slow, really careful, because you don't want to snap those wires, because then you have to resolder them. And if you're like me and don't know how to solder, that's a problem. All right, let's see if I can do this. All right, 1 screw down, 4 more to go. If they're very tightly on there, at least on the English one, so you're gonna want to be careful and not strip the screws, because if you strip the screws, currently I don't know anywhere you can get replacements. So keep that in mind. Let's get all these apart, and I'll show you the separation. All right, one thing you always want to be careful is where the hell you're putting the screws, and one of the screws fell out of the screwdriver and fell on the floor, so currently it's lost. So I'm missing 1 screw, which is annoying considering how many times I've done this and how many times I haven't had any issues for that to happen. That's a pretty rookie mistake, so I'm really pissed off, but I'll look for it's somewhere in the room. Just a tiny black screw. How hard is that to find? So we're gonna remove the 4 off of this device, and then we'll keep going, all right. Okay, so we got the 4 screws removed. So as you can see, slowly, very, very slowly, and I'll zoom in finally, you want to really slowly remove the top off, because as you can see there's some there's some wires, and those wires are, oh Jesus, those wires are what connects the speaker to the board, and I don't know why they still do it like this, considering Bandai of America figured out how to do it without doing it like this. The pain in the ass thing is that if this gets removed, there's all this like epoxy there, so you have to remove that, then resolder. It's a pain. So we now have access to the board. From here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to remove, and then we can actually take this part off, and then we can get to the screen and the buttons too, if that is your thing. So let's look at the 20th English. The 20th English board. Open it up. As you can see, it just comes right off. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, that's a very weird speaker. I wonder it's so damn quiet. What the hell is that? It's really small. It's got the word B on it. And a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking at, if I'm being honest. This one also has 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. We'll remove those, and then we'll get to the screen. All right. You want to be careful. You don't want to scratch the board like I just did. Shouldn't leave any lasting damage. I don't think I did anything too bad. But you want to be very careful, because if you do scratch the board, you could risk cutting a circuit, and that will make this thing cease to exist. Not cease to exist, but it won't work anymore, and you don't want that. So be careful. Alright, screws are removed. Now we're into the next phase of business. Zoom back in and show you guys a good look at the assembly of the screen and whatnot. I'll do it on this first because it's easy to move around. I don't have to worry about another half of it. So taking this off the board, you got to be careful with these two. This part can separate from the first part, but these two are connected here. You want to be careful with that. So I'm going to raise the screen from, you want to raise the board from the bottom. Very carefully kind of wiggle it out, and it pretty much comes right off. So as you can see, the whole piece came off together, which is good. Oh god. Got the board right here. Here it is. As you can see, that top piece just came right off. This is the front of the board. All the fun little, you know, connection ports and stuff like that. Yeah, see JP4. I don't see JP1 or 2. Yeah, this is definitely a very different board compared to the English, or the Japanese 20th. There's a lot of little like dust in here too. But that's the board. I'm gonna put it right there on the floor. Well, not on the floor, but you know what I mean, on back on. So as you can see, the buttons were placed in there, and I've already cleaned it a little bit, but you know, you always clean it again. This is how the buttons look. This is a good time now to clean them if you have a Q-tip. Oh, look at that. That's nice. They tell us which side is up, which is this side. And yeah, sorry, I'm just expecting this. These two tabs you can clip out to get the gate off. You gotta be careful with that because they're very easily snappable. I've never done it myself, so I'm not going to bother. I'm gonna actually clean up this a little bit. There's like some dirt over here. I don't know what the hell that is. I think that's just how it came. I don't think that's me, but I could be wrong. I've been running this thing for a little while now. Clean out. Again, you never want to, you know, it's already open. Might as well clean it out a little bit, you know. Oh god. Oh god, the whole damn assembly fell off while I wasn't looking. Alright, so this is a spacer and the screen. This holds this on the screen. This is the background. The background is just a piece of paper. Sorry if I shattered your reality telling you that this is just a piece of paper, but it is indeed just a piece of cardstock. It is laminated. Doesn't look like the... Yeah, those lines I can still see. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but yeah, so that goes in the screen right there. Like that. You put it down in there carefully. And then you put this spacer in, and then it's going to lock in right there, pretty much. And that's how you keep it in there. And this is supposed to keep it in there, but it's not really wedged in there very well. The one on the Pendulum 20th is wedged in there a lot better. Which is why it just fell out with, or is it supposed to go this way? No, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go the other way. These teeth right here should be facing and pushing against the screen to keep it together. But again, we're going to be taking the screen apart. So we're going to take this off. We're taking the background because we want to keep that because we're swapping the backgrounds too. When you swap the screens, you want to swap the backgrounds so that they match. Now, of course, you could have a restored digital world in the Pendulum, or sorry, the Digimon X, but I personally don't want to do that. I want it to still look like the Digimon X. So then we have the screen here. So if you just push in, it'll just come out. You just push in, and it'll come right out. It's not hard. You don't have to push super hard. And there it is. Now there's some like nastiness in there. Now there's 2 more clips here, so you have to remove these clips, and then the whole thing should come out, I believe. Something like that. I don't really know. I've never done a swap like that. Don't ask me. I kind of don't want to do it because I don't want to risk. It's very easy for me to break and mess up stuff, which is why I show off how to do these things, because if I can do it, you definitely can do it. Now is the best time to clean the screen, because look at all that dust that's been accumulating on the sides that you can't really get to when it's inside, when it's seated inside of the device. So we're gonna get a microfiber cloth and just clean that very gently. You want to be careful with these rubber pieces too. You clean all that off. Now is also a nice time to displex the whole thing, because then it'll all come off. A nice layer will come off. My displex currently has not come in, so we won't be doing that today, but it's no big deal. I'm not too worried about that. I really would like to get this screen on the same page here though. Like you can already see that that is where the displex was. So you see it's not a clean layer because it couldn't get it into those sides, and also my displex sucks. That's fine though. I can fix that with a nice, you know, with some more displex and a more even layer. This is glass. There are liquid crystals in here. This is an LCD display, so you want to be very careful. So we're gonna do that same process with this right here, except now you have to worry about these wires being there, but it's still not a big deal. So you want to come at it from the bottom, really, more ideally. Lift it up a little bit, just very gently wiggle it off. You don't ever need to put too much pressure on this. And now, as you can see, this is still here. It's kind of seated more firmly on the board. They're more often than not, they're like that when you first get them, so that's just easy. You just kind of wiggle it off the board. This one's on there pretty well. There we go. There we go. He's gonna wiggle it off a little bit. It comes off. Don't worry. Don't worry. And then of course there's the spacer there. This one doesn't have any teeth seated on it, really. Not really. I'm gonna put that in there. We'll put the that in there right now. So this is the board for the Digital Monsters X, the X version 1. Now you can see here on this corner there's JP 1 through 4. You can switch versions on this thing, but it's not really worth it because you can't like have all the eggs from both devices on one device. It just makes it think that it's another device. So keep that in mind. And Yeah. If this piece ever comes out, you can just slide it right on. It's kind of like on a slider. It's, you know what I mean? It slides in there kind of like a drawer, I guess. It's the easiest way I can put it. I'm not very smart when it comes to this stuff, as you can tell. So we have now the DMX screen, and that thing is rank too. So let's rub that off, or off all that dirt and that grime, because we want it to look nice and fresh and shiny when we switch it to the other device, the DMX, or the Digital Monsters 20th. Okay, so as you can see, this is the background. We're going to slowly, carefully take that off. This is the background for the Digital Monsters X. Put that to the side. Get the background from our Digital Monsters. Put that in there. And we're going to clean this off a little bit too. I'm going to do it a bit closer to my face so I make sure I can get everything I want to get out of this. And okay. So with that on, you're going to put the spacer in, and that's gonna, this one seats it a bit better than the other one. I'm gonna be very, 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 very careful. And now we're going to place that down into the housing, and now it's in there, and you can see. Oh, wait a second. This is, I'm dumb. I mean, you want to do that process, but you're not. We're not going to do that with this one. We're putting this one to the side. Put it right here. We're getting this screen. We're going to put the DMX background in there. There it is. Just to make sure the orientation, let me make sure. Okay. This little piece, this little dingle right there, this should be, it should look like this. So this little dingle should be on your right hand side. That's the orientation you want to go for. Keep that in mind, because I believe if you get it upside down, the screen itself might be upside down actually. So we're going to seat that in there, because that's the 20th screen. There we go. Looking good. So far, so good. Let's clean this up a little bit too while we're at it, because why not? It is dirty. Lord knows it's dirty. I definitely know it's dirty. This thing is seen a lot of love. Let's clean these too. If you have any isopropyl alcohol, that's also great. If you get too much in the piece, just let it dry. Isopropyl alcohol does dry. You could even clean the contacts on the board too with isopropyl alcohol. Just gotta make sure it's not gonna get powered on while it's still wet. Keep the battery away from it. Keep away, you know, anything that's conductive, and just let it dry, and then put it back together when it's dry. Putting a lot of emphasis on when it's dry, because that's important. Okay, then we're gonna put a little seat in there. It's going to wedge the screen in. Same process as I showed you earlier, but you know, this time we actually swapped the screens. And there you go. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put this piece back in there because it fell out. Again, if I can get this on camera, I will show you. There you go. There's a little lip on this piece. It slides right in to that. If you feel any resistance, you're doing it wrong. There you go. It goes right in. Whenever you're feeling any type of resistance, don't force it. Don't ever force anything on these devices, because you're probably going to break it. If you ever feel like you have to force it to get anything working, don't force it. Just it should all be easy. So we're gonna, from the bottom, place in the contacts for the connections. I'm like fumbling a lot, but it's because I'm trying to be extra careful. Especially because I'm doing this on screen. Just for brevity's sake, let's put this piece on top here. Yeah. So you're gonna hook it. You're gonna hook it on. There's these little hooks there. We're gonna hook it on like that, and then we're gonna place this in there. You're gonna place it in there. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. You don't want to force anything. You're not trying to break it in there. It's easy, see? Like that. It's already in there. Now before you close this all up and screw it together, you want to make sure that, of course, you put the chain back in. Now if you don't want the chain there, you can just keep it out. A lot of people in Malaysia rock it like that. It's got a nice silhouette, but I personally like it with the chain on. Something's feeling a little off here, so I'm going to take it apart and see what's going on, because it feels like I'm squeezing it a bit too much. The screen does seem like it might be a little bit, it might sit a bit higher than it does on the other one. So let me try to put this in there again and see what's going on here. Probably nothing's in focus right now, because I am doing this live as I'm recording. I didn't practice this before. We're doing this all, pretty much watching it unfold as I am doing it. That's pretty much it, but something just feels off. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think it's just the fact that, like, the screen is a bit thicker on the back, so I'm not going to tighten this as tight as it would want me to. So I'm going to put this aside for right now, put the chain over there. We'll do the same process over here with the screen and see what happens. There you go. Look at that. Nice and clean. Yeah, everything should be fine. And then this, because of course this device doesn't have another half, it'll be a bit easier to put together and get done. There you go. Don't forget the chain. You get the other half. I don't know where I put the other half. I put it all the way up here. Excuse me. Put the other half on. Everything fits together nicely. And now it's a matter of putting all the screws in. All the screws can't go in though because I lost one. I'll find it. I gotta clean my room up anyway. It should come up when I need it. But yeah, you just like tie it, put it all in, and we're gonna turn it on and see how it looks. So I'll come right back, and we'll turn it on. We'll see how it looks, and then that's it. That'll be it. I'm gonna go for this. That'll be an episode. Be a long one, but that'll be it. I am a fool in a man's body. I forgot a very important part of this. You don't just put the housing in, you want to screw the board back on, ladies and gentlemen. So let me just unscrew this and put the damn screws back in the freaking board. Holy crap. That's why this thing was feeling all funky and it wasn't putting together right. I didn't put the damn board back in. Yeah, oops. Jeez Louise, that was almost a nightmare. That was almost a travesty. I'm pretty sure it would have worked. It probably would have been a little funky. The screen probably wouldn't have worked properly, or would have looked weird and faded out because the board needs to be screwed down. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sick. The board needs to be screwed down so that you can make a contact between the two pieces. Like, the board needs to make a really tight contact with the screen, which is why the screen is kind of pressed on there. You had to kind of pry it off a little bit. It needs to have a really, really tight contact so that the screen can work properly. And if that is too loose, then the screen will look too bright, or you'll have like weird lines on the screen and stuff like that. So you, again, make sure you screw the board in. Don't screw the board in too tight though. Alright, so as you can see, it's sitting more flush with the housing now because I'm screwing in the screws. Again, make sure you're not screwing them in too tight. You risk cracking the board, messing up the screen, and a myriad of other things. You just want it to be tight, but not too tight. once you feel like a little resistance, just stop. You know, just stop. You might also want to get like, personally, I like getting the corners here first. God, why does my focus so finicky? Want to get the corners here first, then this bottom one, then this top one. That's usually how I do it. That works out for me the most, personally. See, as you can see, all the screws are pretty flush. They're not too tight. They're not in there too bad. This ain't going anywhere. The screen has now been successfully swapped. So now we put the chain in. Put the second half over. Remember that the this top piece has to slide in there or it won't work. And then we put the 4 screws in. And then we put the battery in and see if this thing turns on and looks good. I'll probably be doing them both at the same time just to show it off. Add more add dramaticism to it. So I'm going to screw on this board, same process, and I'm going to screw it together. And then we'll turn on both at the same time and we'll see what happens. Bye! I'll be right back. Okay, I know I said it'd come back when we put them all together, but look, I just wanted to explain. Remember how I said it was feeling like gummy and weird and wasn't holding together, right? That was because it wasn't, I didn't put these 4 screws in. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not marked on here like the other board was. I guess they idiot-proofed it on that board. So you're going to put it together, and it should just, yeah, it comes together. And it's not, I don't feel like I have to squeeze it super hard because now the board is seated on the screen. It's making that tight kind of a connection. And so once I screw these 4 in, put the battery in, then we'll show everything off the right way. So I'll be right back and we'll do the reveal. Alright, that was an ordeal. I could not find the screw, but what I ended up doing, and I'll show you in a second, what I ended up doing was I found a screw for a Game Boy, and it's actually a similar size, and put it in there. So there's 1 tri-wing screw in there. Wonderful. Okay, moment of truth. Here we go. How do they both look now that we've swapped them? Let's see. First off, let's actually show off this first. Hey, Digimon 20th. In my opinion, it's still dark. It looks the same. On screen, it looks great, actually. But in person, it's pretty much... Actually, no. No. I'd say in person, it still does look better than it used to look, but it's still pretty dark, in my opinion. And this screen, of course, I mean, look at that. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Digimon X. Look at that. I can see the screen. It's perfect. It is perfect. Look at that. Perfectly, you can see the Zai and everything. Look at that. That's gorgeous. So, this device, perfectly set. Everything's very nice. I didn't lose any screws on this. This device, I mean, this is a burner. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but, like, this is easily replaceable. This is not. I'm not too bummed about this. But that screen is not... Oh, look at that. Sorry. It's good, but it's not as... I could not replicate the results that that Fanfare was able to get, because his looked real nice. I don't know what he did to make it as nice as it was, but his was real nice. I mean, this on screen though looks great, so it's no big deal, because the contrast. I mean, that looks. They both look better. They both look. they both on screen for sure look better. In person, I would definitely say that the Digimon X is obviously, you know, the better screen, because it had that Digimon 20th screen. But, you know, overall, I can't complain. I think they look great. At least on screen you can see this one better, so that's good. But yeah, now I'm excited to run this again, because now I'm able to see the screen. But for now, we'll tab that and call it a day. That screw is pretty much gone, and it's a shame because I got a vacuum in here sooner than later, so that thing is going to be super gone. This we'll see sooner than later because there is going to be a Digimon X patch, I think sometime in November. So we'll be seeing that again in its glorious, beautiful new screen. And then this device, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I mean, it's not a complete wash, but it is missing a screw. Well, not technically missing a screw. I did find a temporary replacement, but I am not happy. I mean, on screen this looks gorgeous. This looks real gorgeous on screen. It doesn't look this nice in person. It is dark like the DMX, but not as dark, but still dark. I prefer that screen, but on camera it does look freaking nice. So you guys can see it better, so that's good. As far as what I'm going to do with these two, I don't know, because we are about another week out until, yeah, we're about, you know, next Sunday is the group hatch. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with these two. Probably not going to run anything, to be honest. But I don't know, we'll see. But that's the whole process, or at least most of it. Don't lose your screws, don't lose your heads, and that is how you switch screens on the brick devices, on at least the 20th style brick devices, because they all use a very similar mold. That's pretty much it. That's all she wrote. I'm done here. Thanks so much for watching. Please feel free to share this to anyone who is thinking about swapping their screens. It's not as hard as it looks. It really isn't. It's really all about memorization and just being very, very careful, because you don't want to lose a screw, obviously, but you also don't want to rip out the speaker wires, because that's a whole other process you have to do to fix it. And of course you don't want to crack the screens or anything like that. You just got to be real careful. If you're real careful, you're really patient, you can do this. Because if I can do it and nothing broke, they're both working perfectly. They're both, you know, you can hear the sound works on both of them. If I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you guys. Thank you so much. This was very fun. I wish that I could get this screen to look a bit better, but I just couldn't do it, I guess. It's still pretty dark. Not as dark as it used to be, I will say that, but it is still pretty dark. But it's still visible, so it's no big deal. I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Thanks to Fanfare for, you know, inspiring me to finally do this, because once I saw his results, I definitely wanted to see how good it would look, and I am happy. More so because now my Digimon X looks a lot nicer. So whenever I decide to run that in the future, I can actually see the screen. This device, again, I'm not too pressed about. I could always, you know, there's a bunch of things I can do with this. But I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, peace.